Let's get started. This question comes to us from Jay in the We Dojo Facebook page, and Jay writes this: I visited a small Lutheran church, and they used pre-packaged communion thingamajigs where you peel back 2 plastic lids, much like that of a pudding container. One for the wafer, and another for what was surely grape juice. With that said, under certain circumstances, is it acceptable to use grape juice? Thanks, Jay. Jay, let me answer this question kind of by 3 segments. And first, let's just actually ask this question: what did Jesus institute that Lord's Supper some 2,000 years ago? You see, we have to keep in mind that he instituted the Lord's Supper during the month of March and April. It was actually this Jewish month of Nisan. Now, why that is important is this: is during that time, they would actually have a harvest season for grapes. Grapes would be harvested in June and July and August and September. They would always be done by the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths that happened in that September range. So with that in mind, if we just do some simple math, if a grape was harvested in June, July, and August, and it wasn't actually served until March or April, that juice would be, 5-6 months old, and it would be spoiled by that time. So yes, indeed, it was actually fermented wine that was served at the time of the institution of the Lord's Supper. Now, with that in mind, we have to ask ourselves this: why is it that many churches actually use grape juice in our day and age? This actually came about by a guy named Thomas Welch. You've maybe heard of him, the Welch Grape Company. They make grape juice. Thomas Welch was actually a Methodist, and he was also very pietistic, and his goal was to reduce this scandal of wine being served in the church. He found it very scandalous at that time, so thus he pioneered this $650 million industry that we see right now by bringing forth non-alcoholic basically juice, this pasteurized juice that was to be used. And so then this brings up one more question, which kind of you're alluding to here, is this: are there any times when you should not use wine, or maybe you should use grape juice instead? Now, many times it's actually argued that maybe you should use grape juice in the case of a person who has a background in alcoholism. One thing that we do here at Zion Lutheran Church that actually alleviates this whole thing is we take a small individual cup and we put water in that cup, and we take 1 drop of wine and we drop 1 drop of wine in that small cup. And so therefore, we're not changing the elements going from wine to grape juice. We still have wine, even though it's very diluted. So back to your question here, when we look at this, we have to keep in mind what Jesus actually instituted. We have to keep in mind the pressures of Thomas Welch and the pietistic movement, which was not motivated by theology, but motivated by this temperance movement. And then also in those circumstances, when it comes to alcoholism and so forth, there are ways around that other than using grape juice, such as actually taking water and adding a drop of wine to that water. So hopefully that helps answer this question, and we'll catch you next time.